Hey, Kristine,
Hello, Rex.
how are you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good. I'm really excited to have you today.
Oh, thank you. I'm really excited to be here.
And as you know, this is going to be
Uh,
recorded and uploaded to YouTube. And so we're going to just give a little bit of time for people to join us. And I know that you've just recently had the passing of your best friend's son, and still,
yes.
and um, I also have had our friend's niece commit suicide last Saturday. So we
Well,
have our
yeah, I seen that. I didn't know how, but I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, so we'll be
It's
having the
not an
funeral
easy time.
tomorrow.
Oh,
But
yeah, that's rough.
yeah, I mentioned that because, even though there's some excitement with meeting you and having you on here, part of the thing with um, these conversations and any kind of spoony life or chronic pain management, um, you've got the realistic part of things, and that it's not always, you know, hey, surprise,
Mm,
and funny.
yeah, it's not all sunshines and rainbows,
Yeah. And so I
for sure.
want to be sensitive to that for sure. But with that being
Yes.
said, I still am really excited to have you on. I want you to know that. Um, I've been following you, and I watched how inspirational you are, and you'll have an opportunity to kind of talk about some of the conditions that you have. And you've also, maybe even without knowing, have helped lead out on the the other guests that we now have scheduled. And we're booked
Well,
weekly all the way through the end of the year.
that's amazing.
And so
That's amazing.
uh, we was able to reach out to you, even though we're still getting started, and being able to have you among some of the first guests. And so that's been exciting, kind of having you be part of that as more and more become familiar with what we're doing and what we still have planned. So, so
Yeah, there's a lot of work that still needs to be done, and hopefully one day these doctors will understand, and hopefully one day we get relief, but
yeah,
I don't know when that'll happen,
yeah.
and that's
There's
very unfortunate.
there's been a lot of progress, but not enough. A lot of different ways and places. And this is one of them, I hope. In um, even as I've talked with Penny Cohen with the American Chronic Pain Association, and she's the founder and CEO. Um,
Mm,
she uh, is involved with the collaboration effort with um, us as we're planning something in the future. And although we're not like formal foundation, partners or whatever, it's just collaboration interest. She's been in the game for 40 plus years, and they have a website, they have a site to have donations be given, and they even have areas throughout the United States where they have support Zoom kinds of meetings and things. They're, they have interest in even getting into more of a social media space, whether that's even more of an Instagram presence. Uh,
yeah,
they're not on TikTok at all, so just being able to maybe move into that space so that if people want to do a nonprofit fundraising. It's real easy, like with the other options that people can pull into their lives and help raise funds. So so they recognize even with them being involved with it for as long as they are, and they have a YouTube site with videos. Um, there's opportunity
I'm
to
pretty
connect more.
sure I think I know who you might be talking about. Is it the lady that does the Don't Punish Pain rally?
If you go to the American Chronic Pain Association's YouTube page, and if you were to search, Penny Cohen, for example, she has like an introduction video, and along with some other videos that they've formally put together that, um,
Okay.
and so
I do believe I know. I do believe I know who you're talking about. I
yeah,
have done a lot of research with, my illnesses and, why insurance companies act the way they do and doctors. So
yeah,
I do remember the name.
yeah, yeah. So even though there are people that are either been a part of investing in the efforts to really make a difference for those that are suffering, whether it's organizations like Good Things Utah, the local TV channel that had us on, that had uh, shown the interest to spread the word of the importance of people continuing to come together. Whether it's Nathan Osman, for example, um, he is the son of Alan Osman, the original Osman brothers, and he is very instrumental in a number of things, and particularly has an interest
Mm,
in chronic pain, and so they've really demonstrated that they do care and want to make a difference in maybe in some of the very areas that you're talking about. Um, and so I think it's important as we talk, maybe even in this live, about some of the sobering truths about what's not happening and what's still wrong, um, that we keep that in mind. That there are people that uh, are aware that there needs to be some fixing and some things and trying to do their part and coming together to heal those areas, I think, in whatever capacity they can,
yeah.
and in whatever way these lives that Nell started, that we want to continue to move into even a YouTube presence. We've got some pretty exciting things kind of in the works that will hopefully either be something that we do around December or maybe the first quarter of the year, um, by way of a podcast, as well as a formal fundraising event that would be live on Facebook. So exciting, those kinds of things
Yeah,
as
that
they
would be great.
yeah. So those kinds of things, as you put them together and get the right people involved and put it out there, it takes some planning and making sure people are on the right page, and it includes the things that they want, and that it's done right and not rushed. Um, but Spoonful of Sugar is something that we are going to be moving into a nonprofit organization, and we've got some things that we're working on in addition to continually building out. I think I'm going to be scheduling my first January 2020 here in a bit, probably this evening. Someone responded back and has an interest. So we're just going to keep
Nice.
at it.
And you should. And you should. I mean, you're not just bringing awareness on one thing, you're taking a lot of different things and pulling awareness around the whole aspect of chronic pain. Not just one or two things,
That's
which
right.
a lot of people, They do only think of chronic pain as maybe back pain or, some people just don't even have the slightest clue what some of the things that can lead to chronic pain are. I mean, I didn't. I
Mhm.
I had no idea that um, you could even get boluses in your lungs, which are pretty much sacs of air.
Mhm.
Uh, I didn't ever think that, and let alone the pain that came with it. I mean, there's a lot of things I've been learning about that have a lot of chronic pain, and I never would have known,
Yeah.
without doing things like we're doing now, and people talking about what they actually go through and the illnesses they have, how it affects them.
Yeah, it's
It,
true.
it,
Yeah,
I
we
really think this will help a lot, and I'm really excited for you.
thank you. Yeah, pain comes in a lot of different ways, and uh, you know, whether that's the pain that's associated with people that take their life, um, because of mental, emotional, could be social, could be relationships, friends, and how they're treating someone.
Mhm.
Um, could be, maybe more physical related, where people are feeling isolated and that the world is just kind of going on without them. And
Yeah, I mean, if you take this away, you wouldn't know by looking at me.
yeah,
I have an illness,
invisible illness.
you know, exactly.
Yeah.
And, there's a lot more. And unfortunately, a lot of them are mental. And I won't say that it's something I have struggled with myself in the past.
Yeah.
So I, I truly understand.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say it's something I don't struggle with now
Yeah.
from
For
time to
sure.
time. I
Yeah.
mean, you you get sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Hmm.
It's just like, when will it end?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
We
I,
have, um, like the announcement posts that we do that kind of explain a little bit of the conditions of what people are going through, and you have an opportunity to talk more about them because I still have a lot to be educated about them. Um, I'm surprised at the diversity that I that we've got. Um, there are so many different conditions of people that we have planned on having on that I still haven't even done research in looking into their own story, let alone the conditions. So it's going to be really eye-opening, even just for um, anybody that you might view as a leader in the industry. I would even go so far as to say that if you were to interview Penny Cohen, for example, right, maybe one of the top leaders in the whole industry, there's,
mhm,
I'm sure, so much for her that she would acknowledge still to be learned.
yeah,
And
I'm sure.
and that probably
Yeah.
has some truth in any care provider, you know, whether you look at the people that absolutely behaved in a way that was insensitive and callous, maybe judgmental, and just flat out wrong. Um, I think that happens a lot with people,
Oh, it does. It does. I
and
mean, I've experienced that myself, so
yeah, and
yeah. It,
that's where we get into a fair criticism in that not only do we want to be, in a safe space to talk about those realities and how that's not okay and try to respond to it in a way that actually contributes to a solution rather than just being complaining about it. We invite anybody that may feel that that's something that's applicable to them, that we invite them to just be and do better, right? I mean, doesn't mean that they aren't worthy of grace as well, right? And being able to change and do better. Um, because, Nell and I especially, and I'm sure you could probably relate to this, but I'm pretty biased to the chronic pain community in terms that, we deserve, they deserve, particularly, the best. And
Yeah.
I mean, they're going through some of the hardest things that most people aren't even thinking about as they're going through their day-to-day life. And that's not to say that we're dismissed that they don't have hardships, but they certainly can't can't relate with.
You don't realize what little things you take for granted until you can't do them,
Yeah,
or it
yeah,
becomes a little bit of a task to do it.
yeah. Oh, 1 second, I've got Nell peeking in.
On my way to get water. Tell her I'm blowing her a kiss. I'm on there commenting. So
Oh, Nell's on here commenting on the
blowing you
live.
a
She wasn't
kiss.
able to. We're trying to. She blows you a kiss, she says, Kristine. So
Oh,
she was looking
thank you,
forward to
dear.
having you.
Yeah,
And
we've been beat to hell this week.
we're tag teaming a little bit. We've got some family that has come out of town and that we're uh, needing to be there for as they're mourning, the sudden tragedy that happened
Understandable.
last Saturday. But um, she'll have an opportunity to be able to watch the recording and knows who you are. Is
Yeah,
planning
I'll
on.
be messaging her myself.
Yeah, she'll
All right. That sounds great.
yeah, sure.
And you take care of yourself too.
Thank you. But yeah, and one of the things that we also just talked about briefly, when I was on Good Things Utah, we only had like 5 minutes. There's only so much that you can say. But one of the things that we did talk about that um, she brought up was people all around you could that are just walking around you could be dealing with chronic pain, and you wouldn't even know it. What do we what would we say to those people? And I can't remember exactly what I said, but it was something along the lines of how everybody can just do one thing, and that's just challenge your mindset wherever you're at, even if you feel like that you're the example of how we should be thinking about all of this. Find something that you can challenge because you're most likely wrong at least about something and about someone that's that's dealing
Yeah,
with some chronic pain.
yeah,
And
you
that's
never know.
yeah,
You really, you never know.
yeah,
You never know what someone's dealing with, you know. It might, they might be dealing with domestic violence and, be covering up the scars. I mean, you just never really truly know what someone's going through.
yeah.
So I never judge a book by its cover ever. And, I don't, I just try to give everyone the same respect that I would want. Um, I don't know if I don't know what I would actually say because it's not like you would just come out and say like, "Hey, do you have chronic pain?" Um, so sometimes it is really hard to tell.
When you bring up a
Um,
good point in terms of kind of how do people that maybe don't have it in their life even approach the topic if they want to be part of the conversation. Nell is saying here, there's never an end point to learning and compassion. Behave as if everyone has a hidden battle, because they do. Just a simple smile.
I really do believe that. Everyone does have a hidden battle. I mean, you might not know about it. Like I said, it might be an invisible illness. It might be something in the mind. It could be anything.
Mhm.
But I
But
think there's a lot more people that are struggling with something, you know,
yeah,
than not. And
it's
I mean, it's really kind of sad to say anymore, but I really think that's true.
I know
I think that,
one easy way if you're that person that's out there and you feel like some of what we're saying rings true and you're also wanting to kind of understand, how you can become more involved. Maybe you just have had something happen in your family or friend's life and now you're in a, a, a space where you don't even know if there's a community, let alone how to be a part of a conversation or whatever. And I think that there's sometimes more than we think that will be those individuals that will either be going through something themselves. Bear with me, phones. They're either going through something themselves, but uh, they don't want to say much about it yet, you know. And so they're not in a position where they're gonna, volunteer to be on a live or to, um, maybe post anything about it. Just kind of, you know, those individuals that are kind of in the back of the room. Um,
yeah.
and then there are
And I
those,
think a lot of them feel alone too. And
yeah,
I know I did for a long time. No one, I'd never heard of Alpha-1 antitrypsin deficiency. I'd never heard of it. Didn't know anyone that had it. And I felt very alone for a
yeah,
long time. A long time.
yeah,
I think that has a lot to do with it too. And, you're scared of what people are going to think about you. Uh, I know I was.
yeah, like the
Uh,
stigmas and
yes. And, oh, you're just trying to get pain medication. I mean, I've heard it all. Like, you're just faking it. There's nothing wrong with you. Because there was a point I went to the hospital probably for about 5 years of my life, and I didn't feel right, and I knew something was wrong, and they could never find out what was wrong. And I had a lot of pain, but they never seen anything in an X-ray, CAT scan, nothing. So that's pretty much what, you know, I got called, was a drug addict searching for pills.
hmm,
I didn't want pills. And I just wanted to know what was wrong with me.
mm-hmm,
And, finally, a doctor heard low breath sounds in my right lung. And he said, maybe we need to check this out a little farther. And of course, I didn't think anything of it. Um, and I kind of waited a couple months. And time I got checked out and everything, I already had 47, 48 lung percent lung capacity left. and I had 2 giant boluses in my lungs.
What does that mean?
I never, it's kind of like, so with Alpha 1, I kind of wrote this down because it's a little, it, in 2014, I was told it was a very rare disease.
Hmm.
Um, and now they're finding in 2021 that it's not actually as rare as they thought it was. It is now more rarely diagnosed. It usually goes undiagnosed.
Okay.
Um, but Alpha 1, um, the protein, and it runs through your liver and it protects the body's tissue from being damaged. And let's see, from being damaged. Um, and fighting agents released by the immune system. In Alpha 1, the body's normal production of AAT is reduced. So your body's immune system and your AAT count is completely off of whack, where someone without Alpha 1 has a normal AAT count and they function regularly. Their lungs and liver function regularly. But it's it ends up reducing the tissue, which it results in destruction of lung tissue and or liver tissue. In my experience, I've not had any problems with my liver, and I'm very fortunate. Some people have problems with their liver, some have it with their lungs. Me personally, it's just been with my lungs.
So
Um,
is most, if not all, of your um, conditions been related to your lungs?
yes. Um, Almost all of my Alpha 1. You can get a lot of patients with Alpha 1 will, um, I, I will admit this, they will get hepatitis C,
Hmm.
and you will get hepatitis B due to the Alpha 1 because it does cause cirrhosis of the liver and it messes everything up. Well, my body actually fought that off. Right now, I have no viral load. I have no hepatitis. I did at one point. My body fought it off.
Hmm.
Um, but that's one thing that the Alpha 1 can cause, and it will cause. It's just a matter of time. If you don't get it from the disease itself, you will get it from your liver breaking down from the disease. Um,
So impacts
and
your liver as well as your lungs? That's what I'm.
yes, it can either impact both, or just your liver, or just your lungs. So, or you could get the rough end of the stick and it be both, which is very hard. But it breaks down pretty much. It turns into what they call fatty liver, what you get from when you drink and things. Turns into serious liver disease. And
So take
uh,
us back a little bit and talk to us about when you started having some of the initial symptoms and what that was like.
well, I just, I kind of, the symptoms really started out as I had got diagnosed with asthma. Um, they had put me on, which a lot of people has asked me this, if I take breathing treatments, and I do.
Mhm.
I take 4 treatments a day. And it started out where I was getting a lot of upper respiratory infections. I had a pneumonia, probably 6 or 7 times. And it kind of started a little bit with that. And then I was a little short with my breathing. It definitely wasn't like it used to be. I
Mhm.
actually used to run track.
Oh, wow.
Um, and I am a former smoker. Um, but that has no really any impact on the disease. Um, because I was really concerned about that, and I actually had 3 pulmonologists tell me I could have smoked a carton of cigarettes a day, and I'd still be in the same shape I am today. It didn't help, but because now I have emphysema from that, COPD from that, but it's not what caused it, and it I'd still be where I'm at today.
You still
But
have the condition. It
um,
wasn't directly related to the smoking part of it.
right,
Yeah.
yeah. So um, like I said, I was just really kind of gasping for air, and I've got 2 children, and a little hard keeping up with them. I made a doctor's appointment, and I went in. I had an X-ray done. I think it had been maybe a year since the prior one.
Mhm.
And this time the X-ray showed the whole right side of my lung was completely black. There was no air movement, no no flowing of air whatsoever through the lung. So they did a little bit more in depth. They called me in. Well, they called me the next morning. They really scared me. They're like, we need you to come in to the hospital, go in through the ER. We'll give them your name, and you know, just come straight into the ER. And I'm like, okay, do I drive myself or what? And she's like, I wouldn't suggest it. She said, how are you feeling? Are you having problems breathing? And I said, actually, I am a little bit, but
Mhm.
uh, I had a rescue inhaler. And at that point, it was helping a little bit. Um, so I called a friend of mine, said, can you take me up to the hospital? I was expecting the same runaround I had gotten for years, breathing treatment, and be sent home. And as soon as I got in there, they rushed me straight in the back. Um, he asked me if I was hurt, and I said, I am a little bit, not too much, but I've got a little pain, on my side.
Mhm.
But other than that, I'm okay. Well, they took me down for an MRI and another CAT scan and another X-ray. Or no, that was the first set. I'm sorry. I apologize. That was the first set. The second set of X-rays. Um, they came back and they said, we're getting a bed ready for you. I'm like, wait a minute. What's going on? So they said, we don't know. And at this point, they didn't really know. Um, they said, your lung capacity is very low. We're not sure what's causing it. We don't we don't see anything, but we're seeing this and like a black spot in your lung on this CAT scan and this X-ray, so we need to take a closer look. So they did. I had probably I know at least 3 more series of CAT scans and X-rays and MRIs. They still couldn't find anything. And the doctor came in and he said, you know, I don't know what's causing this. I can't find anything. I'm gonna go ahead and run an Alpha1 antitrypsin deficiency test and see if that's it, but I don't see it being that because your liver enzymes have been straight across the board. They're not up and down, up and down. He said, but I'm going to run it anyway. I don't think we have anything to worry about. And, you know, that's when I kind of said, okay, well, you know, what is it? He didn't really tell me a whole lot other than it was liver lung disease that affected it affected the walls of your lungs. It thins down the walls of your lungs. He said, or it will thin down the walls of your liver. He said, but you ain't got nothing to worry about. He said, but I'd like you to stay in the hospital so I can keep your pain under control and until we know what's going on. And unfortunately, that was a Friday, so I was stuck until Tuesday without knowing what was going on. Literally scared to death, not knowing. Just knowing, like, half of my lungs gone, and I don't know why.
Right?
I mean, I grew up close to a place where they were burying chemicals in the ground, and they actually paid my parents off. So my thought was maybe it was a place called Fernald. That was maybe my thought was maybe it was from being a half a mile from Fernald and me breathing in the, I don't know.
So was this, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Just barely. A little bit.
Okay. Was that the start of getting more answers for you?
Yeah, it was. It was. That was the actual, finally, in 2014, when he did run the test, that was the beginning of the answers
So is
of
it called Alpha1?
why, because
It's called
the
Alpha1,
Alpha1
right?
test did come back positive.
And how is this, if you can explain how this is different than like cystic fibrosis?
Is it different than like a cystic fibrosis?
So she's
You know, it's actually a lot of patients with Alpha1 do develop cystic fibrosis.
Mm-hmm.
It
Okay.
it actually is a lot like cystic fibrosis. Nell's definitely right on that. It is a lot like it. You produce a lot of mucus. I mean, a tremendous amount. But you can't get,
so somebody
like a person with cystic fibrosis can get the vest to kind of shake, you know, some of that phlegm up out of them. And a person with my condition can't. That doesn't help.
It's called Alpha1, right?
Yeah, but how
yeah.
for somebody that has asthma, what are the difference
Yeah, what's the
What
difference between like, do you know the difference between like asthma and alpha 1?
does it feel the same? Do they know?
Um, asthma is that's something that a lot of people do have. That's more where it just your um your lymph nodes might be inflamed, or the pollen might be
Our microphone will work.
bothering you.
We don't need to do this
And
anymore.
asthma can be treated with
Yeah,
an albuterol inhaler.
need to have that
We'll get what we need.
Um, I mean, you're gonna have asthma all your life, but it can very well be regulated with, an inhaler.
So
Um,
what is her lung
where,
capacity now?
I
What's your
mean,
lung
Alpha
capacity
1,
now?
now it is between 20 to 23%.
How? How? I'm
So
genuinely how?
Yeah, how?
So she has to be on a lung
I'm having a
transplant
hard
list.
time hearing you guys, so
Yeah, she's not right. She's in the room and the mic picks her up, but just speak up a little bit because it's coming into my ear here. So
So at that lung capacity, which I'm shocked to hear about, are you on a transplant list?
now that's a good question. I was, uh, and I went to Cleveland Clinic because I am here in Cincinnati, Ohio.
Right.
I have been to Cleveland Clinic 3 times. They did put me on the transplant list. And the last time I was up there, they said that due to the spots in my lungs now, that they were going to have to remove me from the transplant list. But when I first got diagnosed with Alpha 1, they refused to even put me on the transplant list because they said that it would the Alpha 1 would go right into the new lung.
Oh no.
Which, yes, it would, but it would have given me, you know, maybe 10, 15 more years of life. So it was definitely worth it, to me,
Of
but,
course.
and it was to the doctors, it seemed at first too, and then when the spots came on my lungs, they said they'd have to remove me off the list.
So the spots on your lungs, can you hear me pretty good now if I talk this loud?
Yeah, I can hear you a little
Okay.
now.
I'll just keep my voice up. The spots on your lungs, what does that mean?
Okay, well, I was getting to that. So, in August of 2020, I went in and had some more testing done to see where I'm at because there is an actual therapy or a treatment they can do for Alpha 1.
Okay.
It's an augmentin therapy.
I was going to ask that.
But you have to be at a certain level, and I'm one notch above it still.
Okay.
So it's $5,000 a week for treatment, so I can't afford that.
My word.
Um, and I have went round and round with my insurance company. My doctor himself has actually done what they call peer-to-peer, and that's my doctor actually calling my insurance company and saying, I don't care what her numbers are.
yeah,
It's just like oxygen. Like, you cannot get oxygen until you are at 88%. You can be at 89%, they will not give it to you. You have to be at 88%. So with the
anyone,
Alpha-1,
so real
like with
quick,
the augmented therapy, it's kind of the same way.
um, just to put it into perspective, you guys, any one of us that's been in the hospital, been in ER, what is the one thing that the machine starts doing if it hits below 90? It starts freaking out. And so, and the nurses run in. Now take that down another 60%. And imagine that being your life.
Yeah.
It's
You are just
definitely
amazing.
not an easy battle.
No, quite. I would
And
say that with breathing, that would be quite a scary reality for me.
it really is.
Yeah.
And that it really is because, you know, when I can't get my breath, I panic. And, and of course when you panic,
Just
it
makes it
makes it
worse.
harder.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes it where I can't catch my breath. And um that is sometimes why I stay here at night, because I can't, if I lay down flat, I have so much phlegm in my throat in the morning. It's
So
very
sorry.
hard because
I
right
am
now
just.
I'm only on 5 liters of oxygen, and that's as high as my concentrator will go. So
And why can't it go higher? Is it a money
well,
thing?
it can, but that's what they consider it high flow oxygen.
Okay.
It would be at a faster pace, and they try to prolong that as long as they can. For the it Once you get on high flow oxygen, it's not good.
Okay,
Um,
so you mentioned you're a notch above the augmentin treatment. What will
yes.
it take for you to qualify?
It's something to do with my blood.
Okay.
I'm not really quite sure with that. It's a blood test they do. Um, and the best way I can describe it is, like I said, is like with the oxygen. Like at 88, that's when they'll bring you out oxygen to your home. At 89, they won't. And so I'm pretty much at like that 89. I
You're just
do
right on the
have,
fence right now.
yeah, so I'm right there. I'm right on the fence. And I hate to say it, but I am kind of hoping. It's been about 4 months since they've checked.
Yeah.
I am kind of hoping it's went down that one,
Yep.
just so I can get the treatment.
It's understandable. You're
Yeah.
tired and you want hope.
Yeah.
You know, you're
I really am
you're
tired. Uh,
I
that's for
cannot.
sure.
You are
I mean, because I do
absolutely
have
to me.
the two boluses in my lungs,
So boluses
so it has
boluses.
everything in me kind of shifted
What's a bolus?
over a little bit,
Or did you already
and
say what a
it
bolus
makes
is?
it bad. It's painful. Huh?
What's a bolus?
Yeah, a bolus. Yes, it's they call them boluses, and I do have a lot of little small ones on my lung, but I have two big ones. One is actually holding 4 liters of air, and the other is holding two. Which if any one of them were to pop, if I was to get in a car wreck, actually fall the wrong way, um, get in a fight, which I that would never happen. Um, Anything jarred the wrong way,
Mm-hmm.
um, I did not because I don't want to know what would happen. But I do know I would not make it to the hospital.
Are you
But I don't
kidding
want
me?
to know what would happen because then I would freak out over, you know,
So
if something, you know, minor happened.
you quite literally have to make sure you're living in a very delicate bubble,
Yes,
waiting for this
I
possible
honestly
treatment
do.
You're
with
saying these
I mean,
boluses
even,
are filled with air and they could pop?
yes. And sometimes I guess they will take the chance of going in and removing them
mhm
off of someone's lung,
mhm
but they will not do that for me.
Hmm.
I actually did get news from the doctor uh, today that there might be something they can do, but they were talking about it's pretty much like an open heart surgery. They cut you all the way down, rip your lung cage open, and they actually go on your lung and they cut the bolus off. Um, but now they will not do that. They have refused to do that. Um, because they don't know if the hole will close back up. And if the hole will not close back up, I would not make it off the operating table. Um, so they said it's better just to let it go. But the doctor did call today with some good news. They're talking about maybe putting a one-way valve in,
mhm
like they would do to a person that needs artery open for blood. Um, and it would just work and it would release some of the air out. I guess, I don't know if it's every breath I take. I didn't really ask. Um, he said we'll talk next week at the appointment, but he said he's very hopeful that that might help at least get the boluses down, um, where it can at least relieve a little bit of pain. Because at this point right now, I can't even wear like a regular bra. It has to be a sports bra or it's very painful. So,
Hmm.
or, I have to get it so big it doesn't fit right. So, um,
or it could possibly put pressure in the wrong spot.
yes.
Like if it was a wired bra, I could see that almost being a danger.
Yeah. And honestly, even the ones that don't have the wires
Yeah.
still kind of, because they're so tight.
Yep.
Um, and now with if I get like a sports bra, I'll get more like a cotton one, and I'll get it, like an extra large. That way, it's a little bit bigger on me, and it's not. I don't feel like I'm squeezing.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's nice to have a little bit of pressure. I do have a couple I'll use sometimes if I'm hurting really bad, and uh, lidocaine patch isn't working or lidocaine rub. I will kind of sometimes have to make it tight for the pain to go away.
Where do you physically hurt the
It's
most?
kind of weird. It's touchy. It's weird how it works sometimes, but
Is it mostly like around your where your rib cage, your whole torso? I would kind of imagine.
You feel the pain inside in your
I like
lung
the way you
area?
comment.
you definitely can feel it. I know. I did a video a while back. Someone was asking to see it, but I have you can see it pretty well. And it's very painful. I mean, it really is.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think that's where more of my pain comes from, is from the boluses.
Oh.
Um, and they do have, even my heart is tilted just slightly, not a whole lot, just slightly. And I mean, I had an argument with a doctor. I said that too. And he said, there's no way your heart can be tilted. I threw him the paperwork. I said, I'm only telling you what my paperwork says from my
Mm-hmm.
pulmonologist that
Mhm.
specializes in Alpha1.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
if,
To me, that would
if
make
that's not the
sense. Your heart's
truth,
really
then take
hard.
it up with him.
Yeah. Just the messenger here.
Yeah,
What's
I mean, you
what's
would
day-to-day
not
living like?
believe.
What's day-to-day living like? I mean, you can't be so. I mean, as I'm taking this in, one of the thoughts is, if you're that fragile and you're afraid, that something could could
Ugh.
happen, how do you just go through day-to-day living not being afraid that you're gonna do something to,
And it might not be that
you know,
she's
betray?
not necessarily feeling fear, but you clearly are an exceptional human being and have clearly turned your pain and your fear and everything into something positive. You know, um, I always like to go to uh, the pages, and I've thrown a couple hearts as I've looked, but I definitely want to go back and look at all that you've done. But I'm so impressed by you. So is that kind of where we're getting at? Is you wake up every day. Where do you find your strength, your resolve, your positivity
Mm-hmm.
amongst all of this?
Yeah, you definitely have to remain positive. I definitely feel like I live in a bubble. Um, even before COVID even hit, um, I don't really have any quality of life. Um, I might, I might be here, but um, I'm petrified anymore. When I first found out, I wasn't as scared as I am now
Yeah.
because my breathing wasn't as bad. But now with my breathing the way it is, um, and it, I can honestly tell things are getting worse.
Yeah.
Um,
You had
you
family
know,
and friends
until
that kind of just gradually distance themselves and just aren't as much in your life now. And then the same question is, do you have a good support system of people that are still with you?
I mean, I think that's one reason that I try to support other people on here that are going through, whatever they're going through, because that is what's happened is I've slowly lost a lot of people in my life. I've lost
So sorry.
friends because I can't go out and, shop with them and, do the things that I used to do. Um, I'm on Social Security now. I don't work,
Uh-uh.
I mean, not just that. I'm scared to even really, if I'm not driving, I'm scared to get in the vehicle with anyone.
Yeah, I would.
And I mean, even driving, I'm still petrified.
Because you can't
I
control all the
honestly,
other drivers.
exactly. And that's what I have to watch out for is the other drivers. I honestly only go out once a month, and that is to my doctor appointment. Um, I have my friend usually pick up anything that I need.
Hmm.
Uh,
And your
there
first name
might
is
be,
Christine, right? Is that
Not Kristine.
or
It's Kristine.
Christine?
Not
yes.
with an A. I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah,
So we
Christine.
know a Christina. Um,
I mean, my birth name is Christina,
oh,
but
okay.
I do go by Christine.
Okay.
What
That's good
about
to know.
what about the butterfly? You got interest? You love butterflies, or in your username?
I did, because that's one thing that we have here in Cincinnati every year. Um,
Aw.
it's at the Crown Conservatory here in Cincinnati, and they have a butterfly show every year that you can walk through, and it's handicapped accessible and everything. And
I bet that's
when
beautiful.
I got
Mm.
sick, that was one of the things that I started doing, and
Mm.
I enjoyed it.
Oh, I
I
see.
loved it. And before I had to sell my house, um, I was sitting on my back porch one day and I had a butterfly land on my toe. And I felt like it was my mom because I did lose my mom at a very young age. I was only 18 and
Yeah.
my son was 2 months old to the day.
Oh, really?
And I always thought, that little butterfly that landed on my toe
Mm.
is, my mom
Well,
coming
you
to let
felt
me
it.
know.
That's what it was. I
Yeah.
wonder. So I'm sure you know cystic fibrosis patients. This past year, they had a major turn for positive with the new medication. Now I know you say there's a treatment if you go down some, and we're kind of strangely crossing our fingers that you'll qualify for that. Do you know of any treatment they're currently working on for Alpha-1?
Um,
Any
I
medications?
do, I do know they have the Prolastin.
Okay.
Um, but like I said, that right now is the one that they're wanting me to drop one more before they'll
Okay.
give it to me. And only because it has, I guess, some kind of human cell in it.
Yeah.
And it's $5,000 uh, per treatment. So it
If
would
you
be
qualify and you've dropped, what do you know what your insurance will you be covered at that point?
and I know like I said, I'm actually hoping when we go in next week it'll have dropped. Um, but really at this point, I don't think there's anything else I can do with the insurance. 'Cause, I mean, my doctor called my insurance company and they still would
We're
not
talking
budge.
about a valuable life. This is where I get so livid. And I feel like, we all know, we've all seen a lot of major fundraisers go on TikTok and YouTube that have raised millions. And chronic pain and diseases are so underfunded. I think just because of the enormity of it, but that doesn't make any excuse for it. And so this is what we're fighting for, but Rex and I get frustrated because we want it to happen quicker so that we can say, you know what? let's at least start her treatment, and we've got that cost, covered for. It's just gotta, at some point, I know that we have hopefully a fundraiser nailed down later in the year, but there's never going to be enough, and these are people, you guys, that are suffering, true suffering, and isolated and alone, and to be left alone simply because your life has changed, when if you went and sat with someone like Kristine for a day, your life would be 10 times more blessed than all the friend groups you've had for a year. I promise you. You sit with someone that is suffered so long, they have a wisdom and a compassion that will bless you beyond a year's worth of going out with your buddies, okay? So we have to do better. And soon Rex and I are going to be able to travel, and that's what I want to start doing. I want to start going into the home of these beautiful, beautiful souls, giving you a hug, holding your hand. It's unacceptable on so many levels. We are failing people that are suffering, and it's just plain wrong. It's wrong. And so you,
It is.
my friend, are in my prayers, and we are working hard.
Well, I definitely appreciate everything you guys are doing and everything you guys stand for. So hopefully someone else that may have Alpha1,
Yeah.
they don't have to go through this. Or, I mean, even this is something I haven't told anyone yet. So the spots, they were cancerous.
Wow.
And
Wow. That's heavy.
I stopped the treatment.
Oh.
I stopped the treatment because they were only making me worse, and I was going down.
Did they say that you
So
had
I
lung
did
cancer
stop
for
I have
sure?
no words.
They were spots of cancer. So I had went through 3 chemo treatments,
Yeah.
and then nothing had changed.
And your body is just
And
suffered enough.
what they wanted to do was just going to make me more sick and worse.
So you're trying to
I
hang
didn't want
on to that little bit of quality of life. But when you said, I don't know your exact words, but just basically how many of us feel at times is we're just kind of existing. The quality of life is, but let me tell you, you're exactly opposite of someone that is just existing.
Oh, you're fulfilling your mission for sure.
You are an angel that Heavenly Father, and you know how people know how Rex and I feel about our faith, but just I have such respect for human beings like you, because I feel like he chose his very, very best to hold the most weight because of the change that you can create. And what you're doing is exactly that. So that is the opposite of just existing.
Yeah. Yeah. No. For those that know my wife, she's pretty eloquent with words and really know how to speak from heaven, even, in terms of what, our creator would say to people, I think, even.
Not even, this is my passion. I just can't. I wish I could fix it faster for you.
Yeah.
It's unacceptable. We watch people buy the silliest things for $500,000 just to display in a case. So for instance, today I seen a pair of shoes that was going for $500,000 because all the basketball guys signed it. Who cares? To me, in the grand scheme of things. And we are spending our money on that when we could be saving lives, like this beautiful woman right here, or giving her longer, which she has every right as a human being to have, or to help her suffering go down, or for her to see a new doctor if she needs to, or go to another country to find a new specialist, because there's so many things being worked on, and it just angers.
There's,
I respect where you are.
they could be helping a lot more people.
Yeah. Well, and that's one of the reasons why we're also trying to kind of put, people go to TikTok, and one of the reasons why they're attracted to TikTok is the most simple thing as something is pleasant to listen to, pleasant to look at, right? I mean, you gotta look at, kid or this or that or someone's dancing or whatever. Um, and if you try to put the topic of pain out there where people don't view that as a pleasant thing to talk about, let alone be around and all of this, one of the challenges that Nell and I have, and just what we're trying to do, is to wrap some positivity and some pleasure, if you will, around it, so that it's actually uh, still,
To me,
you know,
honestly, when we talk to you guys, it just naturally happens. Why?
yeah,
Because I, this is what I wish I could just give people a shot, and it just instills it in them right there. Like, we're talking to the best of human beings on this earth that have been asked to carry some of the greatest burdens. And this is what you're flipping past because you're not getting your eyes and ears and your body and your endorphins fixed
yeah,
right there instantly. Well, guess what? We're going to keep doing what we're doing because this is so ridiculously and embarrassingly overlooked because we don't want to go to hard places. Well, guess what? When you go to hard places, that's where you find diamonds. That's where you find the gold. That's where you find the best. That's where you find precious gems. That's exactly what you are. So you hang on as tight as you can because I'm praying for you to have a miracle.
some of the irony is that even if you initially perceive there's pain or something that's unpleasant that is causing you to not, you know, deep further into someone's life or whatever, the irony is just like Nell's saying, is that that's oftentimes where the most sweetest fruit is.
It absolutely is.
And I really think that
It is
is
their
shrouded.
loss.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. Whether that's in not getting to know the precious spirits and the maturity and wisdom that they have beyond
Right.
their years, whether that is their spirit that just glows. I mean, like your
Yes.
aura is just like pow,
Yes.
through
I
the
wanted to
camera.
say that too. I wanted to say you look so beautiful today, but it's so much more than that.
Yeah.
And what comes with
Well,
your
thank
aura and
you.
just your countenance
Yeah.
is there's a wisdom and a compassion. And you guys, you cannot get this type of wisdom and compassion without going through an enormous amount of suffering yourself.
Yeah. Or having a
We
loved
have
one in
to
it or
stand
something.
up. We have to stand up and be a little bit braver. And quite honestly, you are missing out, in my opinion, on the cream of the crop in this life when you refuse refuse to look in the direction of suffering. Because what you'll find, and I don't know what, some people, they will, there's different levels. They will turn away as soon as they hear chronic pain. They'll turn away, there's different levels where they just can't take it. Well, how about sitting down and realizing that's a human being I'm turning away from? Let me find out what their dreams were, what they've had to give up, what they have to fight through hour by hour, and then that makes a connection, human connection. Even if you're a star athlete, they can sit with you and find a connection. You were running track. You did have big dreams. A lot of them you've been robbed of, but you've replaced them with other things, which means you're resilient and incredible and magnificent, and will not stop until we get a large enough audience and we start getting funding where we can help in even the smallest ways. But this will not stop.
Yeah, we're excited to see what happens, because not just with those that respond to being a special guest, but the following increases and people just start taking notice, and the fruits of it, and all of what uh, you know those that are on uh,
And
these lives contribute.
realize as well, and I'm talking like there's a lot of people watching right now. Well, I do that because one day there will be. We have these recorded, we put them on our YouTube, and we will have you back again. But there will be hundreds of people that view your story. There will be thousands eventually. And
I believe it.
I want them to know that the energy it is taking Kristine right now to do this with us is massive. It is no small task. So Rex and I cannot thank you enough. It is an honor to have you guys, especially you first ones that jumped right in because you want to make change. You want to see change happen.
Yeah, Allison for Prez is due. She says, "I apologize, I'm new here. What am I watching?" We recommend follow us here on Spoonful of Sugar, as well as Butterfly Christine. And as far as what we're doing, we have weekly lives with special guests, and we record them and put them on our YouTube site. There's a link tree in our bio. You can go and look at that, and subscribe to our channel and watch a lot of the history that has happened. But it's about increasing awareness to all sorts of chronic pain, and today we're talking about
and suffering
and suffering.
Yep. But I'll tell you real quick, you guys, what you stumbled upon is an absolute gem among all other channels, among all other creators. This is why, because of who you are looking at right now. These people that have decided and really, really committed to have these interviews with us, it takes so much out of them physically to sit with us for 2 hours. I can't not imagine.
And Kristine, I don't know if you know anybody that has Alpha1, but she says, I have Alpha1 as well as Kristine.
Oh,
I'm in the same hospice end of life situation.
so
make a note, Butterfly, or Allison, follow her, and then you guys can connect. But I'll follow you, Allison, and that's what this is about, is making connections. And
Allison, if you email us, please.
Yeah, do you know anybody with Alpha1, Kristine, or?
I actually don't know. I know one person personally, but luckily she has got the type that doesn't really affect her too much.
Yeah.
But I've met a couple people through TikTok.
Well, hopefully you
that
got a new friend
actually
right
have
there,
Alpha.
because
Yeah, please, you
you
two.
know it
I
sounds
don't
like it's a
even think
little
I
bit
need to
more of a
ask.
rare.
I think they'll connect.
Yeah.
And Allison,
Is
you
it
know what?
Amber R20?
It's
Okay.
Allison for Prez.
Oh, okay.
Allison, you mentioned hospice,
Oh.
so if we have, we do weekly, which is booked pretty far out, but we will fit you in if you want to get your story out as well. You're someone that we will fit in because of your
Yeah,
circumstance.
Allison, just send me, if you haven't already follow me and send me a message that you'd be interested in joining. We're starting to book out in January, so I apologize. It wouldn't
No,
be
we will
out.
fit her in earlier. I don't care what we have to do.
Okay, yeah. So, reach out to us, and uh, we'll we'd love to have you on.
Especially because this Alpha 1, I'm shocked that I know a lot about cystic fibrosis, similar, and especially with how it can affect your other organs, especially the liver. But I'm shocked at how brutal this Alpha 1 sounds.
Yeah,
And is.
yeah, and you know, people that are
It
in
can
sick.
be a very nasty, nasty disease. And,
Yeah.
Yeah,
when I was actually diagnosed in 2014, they were calling it a rare disease.
yeah.
Right.
And studies are showing now that it's not actually as rare as they think it is. It's rarely diagnosed. So
Okay.
a lot of people have it that probably don't even know that they have.
Well, and part of the
Real quick, let me respond to Hawaii.
yes, go ahead.
I've seen a handful of pain management in Utah. Easily would say, uh, his name's slipping my mind because I've been for my latest one.
One the procedure.
Yeah.
Fa-
Yeah, Dr. Faber and his team are amazing.
Dr. Faber.
And they are
Oh,
in
spinal interventions.
they are in Provo, Utah.
We're not affiliated with Spinal Interventions, but we've just given you a plug. Spinal Interventions.
Is it called that?
I think so.
But anyway, look up Dr. Faber.
Yeah, Dr. Faber.
They have an amazing team.
And
So
Jenny Stringer. I
Uh,
think that's her. Jenny.
Huh?
Jenny.
For Hawaii 11.
Stringer. Anyway,
Yeah, it's the one that works Jenny
Springer or Strager or something like that.
Dr. Faber's amazing, and he's such a he's pleasant and he's kind and he's funny in an appropriate way. So just even the experience with him is a good one, a really good one.
And we're pretty picky with it. We've had some bad experiences,
Yeah,
and
just like probably all of you.
we won't include who they are, but for Faber was sure.
Yeah, we won't out them.
Yeah.
there's some bad apples everywhere you go, unfortunately, and
Yep.
Yeah.
but this is something that it can help millions and thousands of people. What you guys are doing, and there's no time for anyone that doesn't want to be serious about it.
Yeah.
No, absolutely not. I've kind of given my warning right a few times. If you think you're gonna come in here, you guys, and play any games or bully, wrong person to cross.
Yeah.
Because I'm so protective over you guys. It's just not. It will not.
Really appreciate that. It's nice to know
Yeah.
people understand, and they're in your corner. I try to do, and some people say, well, you do a same dance every day. Well, I can't do a lot of the dances on TikTok.
Well,
I
why
can't.
don't you try to do a dance with your lung capacity at all?
But
Yeah,
You know
what
what I
the
mean? I
heck?
just
well, I
can't.
do my own little one. I
And whatever
try
makes you
to
happy.
every day.
I love it.
You know, I just
I
I
love that
try to do one every day. But
there were some that you said, I'm not having, you're like, I'm having a rough day. And I mean,
Yeah,
you're just
very genuine,
courageous
honest. Yeah,
to
very.
share your life. It's kind of like a
well, I
form
mean,
of journaling.
I don't want, I don't want to look like I'm putting on a show. I honestly want people to see
Yeah.
the good, the bad, and even the ugly parts of it.
Yeah,
Now,
they
I
need.
won't really film myself in the hospital or anything like that,
Mm-hmm.
and unless I was gonna be there for a few days or something. But
Yeah,
I'm not to, I'm not okay with that yet because I don't think I'm to the point of being able to accept that I am dying, and I just I don't want I don't want to do that yet.
Yeah.
So that's one thing I've not done.
well,
Maybe
it's
outside of the doctor, but
your personal
I just
journey. This is your personal journey. And you guys, if you think that you can judge, because a lot of people would be like, well, where's the doctor? Where's the hospital footage? Where's the. Then walk out. Because we don't have time or tolerance. We just don't have any tolerance for it. We do not. These are people that run a dozen marathons a day as far as the effort it takes to get through. So I am extremely protective and we won't have it. You do whatever feels good to you. This is your life and you've been dealt quite a heavy load. I'm so impressed by you.
Yeah, you're the first guest that we have had that not only um, really supports the whole principle of coping with these chronic sufferings and conditions and pain, but also how in some cases it involves, facing our mortality
Yeah.
and having, you know, all the time in the world it seems to think about those things that so many people, I think we all have been guilty of going fast, 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 fast because it's just not something that we want to slow down and face. And even beyond that, asking and finding even, answers that we feel are the truthful answers for ourselves of what happens afterwards and so forth, right? Whether that means that you personally choose to believe that the truth is that we have an eternal soul and that we will pass on and live forever and then we'll live again and all this, but the point is those are things that on top of people going through things chronically oftentimes have to find themselves being in that makes them even more of a minority, right? It's not every day that people that you see in TV and around you in grocery stores are pausing and thinking deeply and pondering about mortality in that level and in a way that's positive, right? It doesn't have to be something that's scary. It doesn't have
Yeah.
to.
So you guys swallow that.
Mhm.
And I'm not saying that to anyone that really understands that. I'm saying if anybody that comes in and completely doesn't understand, that's just try to understand needing to go
I mean,
through those thoughts.
I didn't want to accept it at first. I
Yeah,
Mhm.
didn't. I really didn't. And
no,
you know, but once my breathing started getting worse, and
yeah,
it was like a little bit of a chore to even vacuum the living room, and
Mhm.
yes,
I had a 4-story house, And, even having to let that go, that it killed me.
Yeah.
But I couldn't do it anymore. I physically couldn't do it. And
It decides for you in many ways.
so, I mean, it's hard, and it's still hard. I haven't been feeling good all week. It's been kind of, not too good of breathing. We've had pollen, pollen alerts
When's your
all
next
week.
visit where they check to see if you've kind of knocked down a notch or not?
Next Thursday.
Okay. If
So
you don't need to feel like.
if I honestly am not in the hospital by then.
Okay. Don't feel pressured to feel like you have to let us know, but the invitation is always there, my friend. We are always here. So if you want to update someone, if you want to let us know where you're at and what's happening, we're here, and I would certainly be happy and honored to be able to pray for you in those moments, and so that you just feel like you have, a couple more people on our whole family.
Yeah, not only do we get the honor to be able to have you as a guest on the show, but we don't we also gain some pretty amazing friendships that we stay in contact with. Yeah,
Definitely.
and so we're here for you.
Definitely.
You are impressive,
Most definitely.
young lady.
We don't want to over fatigue you, Kristine. Is there anything before we let you go to get some rest that if understanding like with what Nils saying that hundreds, thousands can watch this and see Kristine and what you've done, and this opportunity to kind of talk on a stage, if you
I,
will. What would you say to them that would echo even into after you join the other angels in heaven that you'd want to say to them?
And that
you know,
so take your time.
really just live life. Enjoy what you got, even the smaller things in life. You don't have to have a mansion. You don't have to have a Mercedes. As long as you're happy and you're healthy, and don't ever put your health on the back burner. If you're worried, go and get it checked out. If they tell you it's nothing, it's nothing. Okay, it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But don't ever be afraid to go and get looked at. Early detection can sometimes save lives. I mean, they would have started the treatments on me back in even maybe 2015. I might not be sitting here with 20% lung capacity today. I could still maybe have 30. Who knows? Or I could still have what I have, but, just don't take life for granted. Life's actually, it's a gift. It is a gift. And when you're slowly watching it being taken from you, you truly do realize how much more of a gift it really is. If I can just help one person, whether it's them getting checked out or them knowing they have Alpha1 and getting looked at, or if they think they might have it. Because if your parents had it, more than likely you have it. It is a genetic disease.
Okay, So hear that loud and clear. I would go, if you got no relatives, go in.
Mm.
Is that our email? Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
rex.no@gmail.
Sorry. Yeah, trying to get our email down there. Because, Kristine, when we're done with you, send your address if you can.
She can also message. You can send me,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, message me on TikTok your physical address. I think no wants to send this on
But
TikTok.
Allison, yes, reach out. Reach out to Kristine and us. We'd love to have you on, if you are up to it. Because this is one I had yet to hear about, and this is brutal, you guys. This is important. This cannot be, just passed down the rungs anymore. So absolutely, we'd love to have Allison on as well, kind of teaming up with Kristine,
Yeah, for sure.
because a lot of times the more you
I just
talk
hope
about
I
it,
did an okay job explaining it.
yeah,
I
Absolutely.
was a little nervous. I'm
no,
not gonna
No, you
lie. I
did
was a little
amazing. Don't be
nervous.
nervous.
you really did.
We're just talking among friends here.
You
Just hanging out.
yeah, it is just saying
Right.
it's you painted a very good picture, and
And I'm really blessed that I got to meet with you guys and
that's
have this opportunity.
that's
I'm
pleasure.
looking forward to it reaching thousands of people.
Awesome.
And I
Good.
know it will, but it's not going to take long.
It's we're pushing and fighting because
Like a snowball.
it's just been too many years that it's just been overlooked, and exactly for the reasons that you brought up earlier. You know, can we trust you? Are you just wanting
Definitely.
meds? You know, I don't know if your symptoms, like, you're a baby, you're just not handling things well. It takes too long, you guys, to get a diagnosis, and a lot of times that diagnosis, that is a rough road where you get. So
Now,
that's really
I think that you can be diagnosed with Alpha 1 as an infant, but they really don't like to check until they're 3 months.
okay. Well, is it
I mean,
standard?
no, they don't. It's not normally tested for. It's not something that they'll test for unless they're showing signs of having it.
Well, this is
Like
how I
I,
feel about that.
I'm
This is how I feel about that because we in March, our great nephew passed away from gravity disease, and he could have been it could have been completely treatable had they tested him as a newborn, and it's very cheap for insurances to run that simple test. And so we're pushing. Well, I think we have maybe 11 states now that it's
Hmm.
mandatory. Utah, here in Utah, we're still pushing, but it should be all. So if there's a simple test for A1 at 3 months, and it's going to cost the insurance far less to get that test and treat them early on than trying to figure things out later, those should be mandatory, or at least given the have the choice given to the parents.
Mm.
Yeah, and sometimes I think that if I would have been tested early on,
Yeah,
I probably would have never smoked cigarettes. And I
yeah,
think, I might have lived a longer life. But then on the other hand, I think, well, maybe I wouldn't even be alive right now because not learning I had it until I was already halfway, my lung capacity gone. I feel like I've been fighting like with my all of my lung capacity until
yeah.
just recently, if that makes any sense. But so I don't know, but it I feel like it maybe could have and
I
would have helped
yeah.
if they checked at birth, and they should. They should check.
Especially if they're, okay, so let's add on, as they develop more medications and treatments that, that could start in infancy or in a young age. We've got to push.
Yeah, I know. I had to bring home test kits from the doctor and test my 2 children by myself, prick their fingers, and put blood droppings on little test boards and send them back in. Which, knowingly, they both had it. Of course, I had it. I knew they had it, but
Mhm.
How are they
you know,
doing?
but yeah,
How
it's
old are
definitely something that's overlooked way too often.
yeah, the fact that it's, I think, across the board, um, it's rarely heard about because this is me with chronic pain for years. I've I've searched for people with any condition where they're suffering, and I'm still learning, and I never heard of this. So this is just gotta be. We just need to do
Allison for Prez says, I'm always available. God gave me 2 ears to listen. Please let her know.
more.
And then Hawaii 11 says, anything that maybe we or I can help you with. Yeah. So people are wanting to reach out to you and kind of connect with you. We know that being on this live, and even though we're engaging with you, sometimes there's only so much people can do in terms of, the connections. And so we really encourage you guys to connect and for that camaraderie to really continue.
Absolutely. Thank you for
Yeah,
doing so much.
definitely. Just, send me a friend request or
Mm-hmm.
a message and
Love it.
let me know, it's from
Yeah.
this live,
I saw
and
you on the
that way
live
I'll
and
know.
You'll fall in love with her
Yeah,
yeah.
right away.
because I get thousands sometimes, and I'm like,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, she's
Uh,
got quite a following. You're pretty.
pretty
You're
popular.
contagious. That's the word.
Yeah.
I
And
try.
you,
I
I
haven't been
think
doing
Rex
too
missed my.
well lately with
Oh,
content, but
I think you missed my comment early on. I was like,
yeah. What was?
your background wall, like I love
Oh,
it.
oh, she loves your wallpaper.
I do
I did see
literally.
that. I've been
Yeah.
noticing that throughout the
I
live,
love it.
actually. Nell loves
Absolutely.
your pattern on your wallpaper behind you.
100%.
oh, well, they're curtains, but thank you.
Oh,
It looks awesome.
she's got an
It's
eye
my
for art for
curtains.
sure.
Well, you guys,
Yeah.
your comments are beautiful.
Well, that's something you learn to do. I know I've learned to do a lot of arts and crafts being sick. 'Cause
Yeah.
you're not mobile a whole lot, so you have to kind of find something to do,
I keep Rex busy that
sitting
way.
down.
It's true.
I'm like, guess what else I dreamt of? Guess what else I dreamt
The honey list is
Yeah,
ongoing, my friends.
that's right. That's
of?
right.
Well, Kristine, one day I hope to give you a very long hug in person.
We would absolutely love to meet you in person. We really hope that happens.
Definitely.
You hang in there and
Definitely.
let us know, please.
Yeah, you keep doing your
Anything.
TikToks. Don't let
Heck no.
any haters or negativity steal your thunder, girl.
They're
You keep
just
doing your
they're
thing.
No,
they're silliness. Silliness.
oh, no, I am not worried about the trolls.
I was gonna
They can
say
say what they want.
I was gonna say I don't think it's slowing her down.
There you go.
No,
That's the attitude.
I just honestly, I haven't been feeling too good, and I had some running around to do earlier today, and
Oh,
And I knew we had this tonight, and I was like, I'll do some content tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys, you really, you all know you have to kind of pick
I
a
mean,
defense.
'cause
Way
you
to dish
really
out
are
those
right.
spoons. Hey, that's
there you
fitting.
go.
Yeah, this is your spoonful of sugar right here.
Right. That's all I need. That's all I
So,
need.
You're giving a lot of a service and spoonfuls of sugar, if you will, to people here, and they know that with you being a fellow spoonie, that you only have so many spoons in a day for sure, and for you to kind of reserve this one and as sweet as it is, we really thank you.
yeah, that's what I keep saying. It's such an honor. I just,
Well,
there's
I
nothing
thank you guys for having me.
You're most welcome. We'll have to have you
You're
again. We'd love
very
it.
precious. And please let us know if anything happens during the week before your appointment or after.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
you feel
Update
comfortable.
us. We'll keep in touch.
Will do.
Okay, well
Thank you
have
again.
a good night and for thanks everybody for joining us and giving Kristine the opportunity to um, share her story and what an inspiration she is, and I know that you're going to be touching many lives, Kristine. So from our heart to yours, thank you so much and have a good night.
Thank you. You too.
See you guys.
Bye
God
bye.
bless. Bye now.